You're welcome back to Morning Express. Of course, for the second leg of conversations on the program this morning, our studio is being graced by Dr. Aliyu Ilias, who is an economist as well as a public affairs commentator. First things first, Borno State Senator Aliyu Ndume has recently criticized recent appointments made by President Bola Tinubu, citing that they violate federal character. The presidency has responded to the Borno senator, citing that President Bola Tinubu's appointments are only based on merit and not tribalism as accused by the senator. Quite an interesting role between the senator and the presidency this morning, Dr. Aliyu. First things first, good morning and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Once again, we are back to Senator Aliyu Ndume and the presidency.
Right, I think it's quite interesting, and I like the way he always sensationalizes an issue. But truth to be told, we've seen nepotism during President Muhammadu Buhari. I can only exclude President Olusegun Obasanjo, that is a true Nigerian. I could also see during Jonathan, I could also see tilted towards the east and more. When we talk about President Bola Tinubu, I listened to one conversation. The conversation said President Bola Tinubu does not only favor people in the south, he favors people in the southwest. As you now go deep southwest, he also favors people in Lagos and Ogun State.
More than any
other place. And you can agree with me that if you look at Ogun State, I think they have about 5 ministers from Ogun State. And the entire east, which is part of the south, has only 5. So it's a contradiction, and it's called for question. But looking at Aliyu Ndume, if you ask me, I think Mary Kyari is actually from
Borno State,
and his tenure, his tenure last, but President Bola actually extend and actually decide to relieve him. But the present board chairman is not from Borno as well. That's what another thing we need to interrogate. So now the issue of nepotism, I think it has come to the fabric of our democracy that I find it difficult to actually remove. But I want to salute the courage of Aliyu Ndume. You recall that in the issue of tax reform, he was very, very vocal. A lot of issues he was vocal about. But for me, I don't think he has done anything bad. It is a responsibility to speak out sometime, and it's actually exposing other senators that are seen to be, be carry-go senator, that anything comes and anything goes.
As long as it is from
the Oga, right? Yes. But he's trying to actually checkmate. And by and large, that should be a responsibility of the Senate to actually create a balance.
Or even the National Assembly in general.
Right. So to look at creating a balance, checkmating the executive, while the executive is making their law. Someone should say, no, look at this is how it should be. And I'm afraid for him, he may not, I don't want to be a prophet of doom. Will he actually return back to that Senate?
But Senator Ndume has always been very critical of different administrations. Even during the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, he has been quite controversial in that nature. Now, his controversy is not mere troublemaking, but he likes to speak to power. He likes to exercise his own powers as a lawmaker, and he cited that in that interview, saying that the jurisdiction of the National Assembly is to ensure that it checkmates the excesses of the executive.
Correct.
And that is what he is doing, and that he knows very soon they might send hound dogs after him.
Right, they are actually removing from different committees.
Due to how vocal he is.
Exactly, they are reducing a lot. But I think I like his courage because, in democracy, we must have alternative voice per time. If we fail to have alternative voice, that means we are in problem. And that's why we have multi-party system. But this one is even in the party and is actually making, I'm correct. I'm sure that they will send, because you look at the way Odonoga, who responded to him, that he should face his security committee or something, that he should face something. You see that they are not accommodated. And I would like to encourage President Bola Tinubu to give room to some level of critique. I won't even say criticism, because I think it's a critique.
Yeah.
They are not criticizing.
Well, because he asked the president to make amends.
To make amends. So it's a critique of what you're actually doing.
Yeah.
And if you look at the tax reform bill, I think he actually made Nigerians to see a lot of things. And by so doing, there's a lot of meetings and there's a lot of correction.
Yeah.
So when we see that
went through.
Exactly. When we see that, so the bill is still there. And a lot of things is still happening. So when you see that kind of voice, for me as a Nigerian, I want to appreciate such voice, because we cannot continue to have even the same political party go in the same direction. It's not good for Nigerian.
Well, let's also talk about the response of the presidency to him, citing that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's appointments are mainly based on merit. Let's forget Senator Aliyu Ilias now. Let's talk about you, Dr. Aliyu.
Right.
Are the appointments of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu based on merit from your perspective and what you have seen with regards to ministerial appointments and all other appointments he has made since inception of this administration?
Thank you. So let's look at it this way. The word merit is relative.
Yeah.
And when we say relative, it depends on who is interpreting the word merit. Right. So in this case now, I will not agree that it's based on merit, because you could have meritorious people at different geopolitical zones.
Yeah.
Are you saying you are giving, it is on merit, you are giving 5 ministers to Ogun State? Are you saying that other states does not have people that have that merit? Are you saying you don't have a lot of people that have the experience? Nigeria has moved beyond saying that it's only one part of our country that have the merit, or that have the professionalism, or that have the ability, or that is much more educated. In fact, education is now balanced in Nigeria. That anything you can find in the southwest, you can find in northwest, you can find in northeast, you can find in southeast, and the things become balanced. So for me, I think to have a robust and good democracy, that each person will not start looking for things closer to him, because this is what we complain about President Muhammadu Buhari.
Yeah.
And I think, if you ask me, do we sit to this level at that time? I won't agree. So I think the way President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, if people like Aliyu Ilias is not continue to talk, the next president may come up and do the worst. And I can tell you this, recall, during President Muhammadu Buhari's first tenure, even the wife came out and said, President Muhammadu Buhari is giving an appointment to people that you don't know.
Yes.
Because he was actually doing it on nomination and on merit. But second time you could see that he now fall back to the old settings and started giving to his people.
A lot of people have accused President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of gross nepotism, even more than former President Muhammadu Buhari.
And exactly, I want to agree with that, because we've never seen 5 ministers coming from one state. We've also looked at Lagos.
Apart from Ogun State, apart from the ministerial appointments, it may seem that almost every key
MDAs
across the country has somebody of the southwest extraction heading them.
I think on a normal ground, it's not bad for you to operate with people that you know, right? But President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been in politics. It was the government in 1999.
Yeah.
He has a myriad of different people, political allies everywhere.
All from the southwest.
What I'm saying is that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as a politician, is one Nigerian that have friends from different places. So if you're now saying that no, it's because of people you know, don't you know people from other states? Don't you have people in that party? And remember, Obama is supposed to be around political party.
Let's just practicalize this. Who is the Minister of Power? Or where is the Minister of Power from?
Southwest.
Minister of Communications?
Southwest.
Minister of Finance?
Yes, Southwest. Industry, Trade and Investment?
CBN boss?
Yes.
FIRS boss?
Right.
The list goes on.
Let's even go back to finance. I think the finance in Nigeria
finance and coordinating minister of the
all of them come from
EFCC boss.
Right.
All from the southwest.
Right. I think it's getting to the brim, and that's the beauty of democracy. So when you get to the brim, you see journalists, you see stakeholders, you see people like Aliyu Ndume coming out and saying, no, this is getting extreme. I think there should be caution on his part as well, because that is also a wrong signal, and it's going to tell in the next election. And these are what people need to look at. You can see people with time, if this continues, the people might say that, well, we have worked for you and we are from different political zones, but you seem not to consider us. But I think at this point in time, even the handlers of the president, the people that communicate for him, is not also helping. By the time people comes out, sometimes you lay low and avoid, immediate reaction.
Yeah.
They are quick to go to the reaction and say, no, this is what is actually doing. But it is clear that this president actually do more for Southwest, and you see also within that Southwest, you still go deeper.
Lagos and Ogun State.
Because how many people can we attribute to Osun? How many people can we attribute to Ekiti
or
Ondo? So these are the things that we need to look at critically. Even in Ibadan, we are talking about how many actually comes from
how many ministers.
Exactly. So that's what we have to look
minister
at.
From Benue State. All those
things we have to look at. Even beyond that, in politics is very funny. Beyond that also, what ministry are you giving to people outside Southwest?
Yeah.
That's another core thing. Are they Minister of State? Are they, the main minister? These are the things that you have to look at. For me, I think in my state, we have a minister for steel, right? So if you want to look at for another one, you find it difficult to actually attribute. So I think these are the factors that we need to look at. We could agree to an extent that, okay, you want to work with people that you can.
Minister of Interior.
Right, exactly.
Southwest.
Exactly.
And
their core ministry.
Minister of Education as well.
There are five. Their core ministry.
I wish we had like a long
breakdown. But there is this online. People have tried to.
It might seem that about 90% of all ministerial appointments, core ministerial
appointments, use that her core ministry
from mainly from the Southwest.
Maybe you want to have the control of, but I think if you are president, no matter who is your minister, you can also have
Yet
control.
We hear the presidency citing that the outburst of Senator Aliyu Ilias is mere hypocrisy and selective perception.
But the beauty of it?
Yeah.
The beauty of it is that as Aliyu Ilias is being tagged of hypocrisy,
yeah,
a lot of them in that National Assembly share the opinion of Aliyu Ilias, but they lack the courage. They lack the courage to actually voice it out. But be that as it may, politics is very interesting. By the time President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is coming in the next election, there will be conditionalization of his office. Yeah. They will not say, okay, President, you are coming on board. We do not want this from you again. We do not want this from you. If you agree with us, we move ahead. If you don't agree with us, we may all shift our allegiance. So these are the things that actually come with it. But I wish they will have that. It was every that actually said that is Yoruba-led administration, and the same Ononuga and Co came to attack. Who
are still of the Southwest.
Exactly. So. But even his spokesperson, I think Buala is the mix. But look at Buala.
Well, in Buala's case, I wouldn't want to say I trust anything that comes out of Buala's mouth, because at some point, shortly after the administration, well, he was in the
PDP.
He was in the PDP.
Yes.
And he was part of Atiku's camp, firing at.
He even cited religion. He even cited religion that he can't work with Muslim, and is negating them because of Muslim.
And then all of a sudden he's given an appointment and he turns his back on his words.
It's that's politics, I should say, to the extreme. Even now, I listen him speaking. It should be Ononuga. Even Sunday Dare, he's a spokesman too.
Sunday Dare, Daniel Buala. There's a long list of them, but it appears that it's only on
exactly. Because Ononuga have the ears of the president. Perhaps they have been working for a long time. But someone like Sunday Dare has also been with the president for long. And president also say good things about Daniel Buala. But be that as it may, I think this is quite expository. Yeah. This will make people to go and do their research and sit down again that what Aliyu Ndume is saying is not out of place. It's a correct analysis. But someone like him should also do more. When you are analyzing, sometimes you need to actually bring some facts. So when you bring those facts out, people will believe that yes, this is actually working, and that's it.
Well, in terms of undermining national trust and unity that the presidency is accusing Ndume of. With his statements concerning appointments made by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, what does this do for Nigeria's national unity and trust in governance, especially at a time when we know that the country is quite volatile in terms of trust between ethnic groups or even tribes.
Do you know my biggest pain? Yeah. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is giving room for other negative things to happen. This is at the federal level. Yeah. That simply means there will be more serious issue at state level. If we cannot correct this federal own, at a point, the state level will become a problem. You know why? Most state governors now, we now decide that, well, since I'm the governor, yeah, and I have the power, let me bring people that actually want, and it's actually happened. They bring one commissioner from the same local government and not considering other. Let's even look at constituency. They may not consider some constituency and they consider some constituency. So this is a fact that we need to. So President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is creating a negative story that people could key into wrongly in future, which is a very dangerous one.
And judge him accordingly.
Exactly.
When the elections.
Look at what is happening in Rivers.
Yes.
You know, we have a query person as governor before, right? We now have an Ijoman as governor, and Ijoma is saying that Ijoma is now saying that it is our turn. You're not allowing us to enjoy our tenure, yeah, and it should be tenure of APC in Rivers, yeah, not tenure of Ijoman or tenure of query. So we are teaching towards, you know, those ethnicity.
It should be the turn of PDP.
Turn of PDP rather, not, you know, the turn of maybe one ethnic or whatever, or we have sort of language in that.
But we cannot take away the dynamics of tribe, the dynamics of ethnicity, the dynamics of religion when it comes to state party politics. I mean, it is there nationally. We saw Malam Nasser El-Rufai, whom you have always tagged a necessary evil, you know, who came up with the idea of the Muslim ticket, right, which has never been on the minds of Nigerians. No. Hold on, Dr. Ali. Even if it has been, it has not been on the public domain. Malam Nasser El-Rufai intensified that Muslim ticket ideology. But he brought that Muslim from the southern Kaduna. When he did it in Kaduna State and it worked, he decided to experiment on a national level. And it works. These are the issues that we are looking at. These are the issues that are facing us squarely in the face. Issues of politicize of including religion and ethnicity in politics. Even tribalism. So let's now go there, because if you look at Ijo case, yeah, Ijo in Bayelsa, I was supporting the Ijo in Rivers. So but why I said no, that I didn't agree with you, was that if you look at other states, a state like Ondo, do we have Christian or Muslim Christian? If you look at eastern part of Nigeria, no matter how, we still have a minute Muslim, I don't consider to be deputy governor. I'm talking about nationally now. I'm talking about I'm bringing it down. Don't give an example of Kaduna State. Yes. I'm not giving an example of other states as well. So if we want to go on that route, we'll be considering other states to that. Okay, why Christian in this state? No matter what, you still have 5% of Muslims. Yeah. But be that as it may, I think we should play those things down. Religion, ethnicity, tribalism, because it's deny us the best hand. And I think one of the states that has clearly done well when it comes to a balance in terms of religious selection in governance is Adamawa State, which has always had either a Christian governor and a Muslim deputy, or a Muslim.
No, if you look at that state too, you can't. I don't know if you can really say this is you can give either Muslim or Christian the higher number. Yeah. We have to look at that statistics, because they actually balance. Even they actually balance. Though we still have Christians in Borno, but it's not coming to play. I don't think they have had a Christian governor in Borno.
Well, I don't think. Not any that I know of, but I know Adamawa.
Exactly, they have been able to do it, and it's a good one. It's because it depends on the people. You know how liberal they are. But for me, I don't want to play game of religion. I want to play a game of good performance, because some people could be any religion, you know, and perform very well. Some people may not even be a Muslim or a Christian, but they will perform well. So it's who will perform, who will take our state, our nation forward, that we should be concerned about.
Certainly, in the words of Dr. Aliyu, it's about who will take the state, it's about who will take our nation forward, and not about tribe, not about ethnicity or religion in terms of politics. Well, moving away from the squabble between the presidency and Senator Aliyu Ndume, let's move over to Borno State, where we hear that Professor Babagana Zulum, the governor, and the Shehu of Borno have both decried recent attacks by Boko Haram insurgents in the state, citing that about 3 local government areas are currently under the control of these Boko Haram terrorists. Once again, the dark, gloomy days of terrorism are back in Borno. Quite a very sad situation.
Very, very. It's quite sad that we think we are getting out of the wood.
Yeah.
And it seems we are returning as well. So, but for me, I don't know. And that's why I always talk about kinetic and non-kinetic approach. Yeah. You cannot continue using the gun to actually pursue this Boko Haram, this insurgency activities and what have you. Yeah. You must also go the other way around. And you also recall that they are the hedge of the country. So sometimes the influx, like Lukarawa, all those, they actually flow in from outside,
And right now it almost appears as if there is no clear-cut difference between terrorists and bandits.
I'm telling you, I think we should tag them the same. They are actually anti-human. What they are doing is, but for me, I think our military need to double down again. Yeah. They don't need to get, because if you look at our budget, more is going to them. So we expect them to actually do more. But where is the place of DSS? I don't know. I always have issue with the place of our what do you call it, them?
Department of Security
Services. Because if the police, if the army is going physical to actually fight them, somebody should be underground looking at sourcing of this person. Exactly. Look at the issue of 2G. You find it difficult. How? You must find information. Because I recall when we were much younger, you see a shoemaker that is a DSS person, and if you doing that to actually garner some intel and information to actually, so I don't know, and this is going to dent President Bola Tinubu administration, because if you have bring down the tempo, and now at the brink of getting to 2 years in administration, we see it coming up again. It's a serious issue. I think this administration needs to do more.
Well, certainly it's a call for the administration to do more, Dr. Aliyu, but if you take a look at the inception of the Boko Haram insurgency in 2009 and calculate it all the way to 2025, it's almost 2 decades.
Almost 2 decades. I recall
two long decades.
I was in Borno. Was it 2010? That was 1 year after that thing actually happened. We went for a program, and they said as a Muslim they shouldn't see you with a rosary, they shouldn't see you with that. It was actually starting that time, and we think is what we can actually handle until it didn't become what we cannot handle. And later we saw the effect in Abuja. I recall this is Maraba axis where we have bombing, we have the Mandela. We are thinking these things are going to be deep in the board, but until now it's as if it's becoming much more beyond what we can. So it's as if non-state actor.
You an office bombing.
Bombing in year 1. Yes, it's as if non-state actor is even taking over. You recall they even bombed Nigerian police, IG office then. So I was thinking with all this level, you would have by now make sure that those things subside and dominate them, because they cannot actually face it, but someone is actually sponsoring this, and that's why the issue of USAID then it has gone down. Now nobody is doing findings to actually know how true the sponsorship is. It is serious.
The only thing that we hear now is that it has been withdrawn, and that's all. Nigerians are decrying its withdrawal.
Yes.
Rather than decrying, rather than being worried about the allegations,
impact that was alleged.
Exactly.
So I think that's another thing that I don't know why we are quick to forget issues. We are supposed to do further findings, because people even say if you go to those NGOs, they are so happy with what is happening because they are actually exactly they are actually cashing out in Nigerian parlance. They are cashing out from the problem. So we must look at it and nip it in the bud, find out how true are those, because I recall that there's a particular story that is actually going around, that there's a particular time that when a particular food truck was meant to go, they said it's spoiled, and before they find it in the den of those Boko Haram. So these are the things we must look at.
There was a video that leaked recently, or some couple of weeks ago, where Boko Haram insurgents were seen slaughtering or killing rather by gunshot via means of gunshot 3 soldiers that they had caught, and their hands were bound behind. They were not even blindfolded. You could see their faces. I know I saw a Facebook post where somebody was decrying that, oh, this is his brother and he was shot. And when that video leaked, it was viral. We saw these people being killed in broad daylight by terrorists in Borno State. And the president was heavily criticized for not speaking out about such a gruesome murder that has happened in Nigeria.
Right. As at yesterday, my wife called my attention to a gory.
Yeah.
You know, those things is becoming everyday thing. She called my attention to a gory video where this Boko Haram take over, you know, the streets, and they are killing people. You know, it's so gory that I cannot, you know, go to check it further. And that actually depicts our state of our nation, whereby non-state actors are taking over, and I think, like what they said in Borno now, 3 local governments under these people. How, you know, you just have to imagine.
Are these ungoverned spaces?
Exactly. How do we have these ungoverned spaces that a non-state actor is now taking over? Do you know what it means to take over a local government in the country that have military, that have different, security architecture? It's quite sad. Something's actually missing. That we can go up, you know, through the air, we can go through the, you know, different way of attacking.
Sophisticated military and security
You
apparatus.
recall that during Jonathan, you also go ahead to buy, is it Tucano jet?
Yes.
We have not seen anything about it. I don't know what's actually happening. I recall, scientifically, we can actually locate all these people, see what they are doing.
I mean, that's what brought about the Dasuki Gate.
So, you know, it's a lot of money that have been expended in that area. So I don't know if the corruption is what we are enjoying, because some people are actually benefiting from this budgetary allocation to curb this insecurity.
Well, it is in the wake of this that the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, is warning Nigerians not to pay ransoms to kidnappers or bandits in the country. This is a statement that has been met by a lot of criticisms from Nigerians, citing that if the Nigerian government had protected its citizens, there wouldn't even be any need to speak of ransom payment in the first place. Is this statement correct? It's
thus not correct, because they say who actually that affect that will know how it's simply played out. How can you have a family in the den of Boko Haram and they're telling you to pay ransom, and you have a way of crying out to people to support you in the pain? You say you not pay. Let's also face it, the general that just got his freedom,
the ex-NYC DG,
is there no sign that they actually
General Siga or something?
Exactly. I just saying they did not pay ransom to actually get him released. How can you say that? Why not make sure you provide?
The DHQ was clear about that and said that there was no ransom paid.
Well,
but we saw a statement where General Siga was thanking his former colleagues
for contributing,
his family members, his friends, and even the Nigerian military for contributing.
Right.
So what do we believe at this point?
In that case, there was the aim and objective of the kidnappers. Their aim is to them. In some saying, let me say, in some country, when they kidnap and said we want so changes, so difference. But in this case, they kidnap to get money. It's becoming a lucrative business.
When we saw a video of General Siga and some other rescued victims of kidnapping being handed over to the National Security Advisor by General Christopher Musa, I beg your pardon, there was no clear-cut indication as to whether or not there was an exchange of fire between the security forces and the bandits or kidnappers. We did not hear whether or not kidnappers were neutralized. We only heard that they were rescued.
You know, it's about
negotiation.
So it's about negotiation. When you rescue, how did you rescue? Do you just go there and open fire?
Please give us our people back.
Right. So it's clear that there's a ransom that they've exchanged, but being that for government and for NSA, Nuhu Ribadu, we really want to encourage. So maybe perhaps that's why they are trying to color it in the other way. But for me, I think there is no way they will not have paid the ransom to get him released.
The same Malam Nuhu Ribadu has said that that security situation in the country has improved by up to 90%.
Well, that's
how do you come about this industry?
I don't know. I don't want to say it's fallacy, but that's taking it too far
Yeah.
to give us what does not add up. Even the common Nigerians can actually attest that the security in Nigeria has not reduced by anything. In fact, we are all perturbed because if you are traveling, you see that you don't have that confidence even on the road. You know, even alongside Kogi, alongside Niger, how well do you have the confidence to move? Look at what's actually happened in Borno. Look at what is happening in Northwest. You know, Samfara, Kebbi. Those areas are no good. I saw another news in my Mamata platform yesterday where they show Samfara, where some people have taken over, have taken over some area. In fact, they said there's a goal that they're actually protecting. You know, a lot of news that they are not good for us. But I think the NSA should do more. It should not be quick to come out to talk. It should be much more of action. There's some news that also giving that there's a lot of news that have been suppressed. That issue of the insecurity, you know, there's a way they can suppress it. Maybe there's an attack somewhere, you know, when they don't allow the media to actually carry it, nobody gets to know.
But some of these attacks are not explicitly reported by the media.
Exactly.
They are eyewitness accounts of people who probably have escaped the attacks or have survived the attacks, and then you see them posting on social media.
Apparently, a lot of attacks are underreported
by the mainstream.
Because they don't even have access, or they are being cautioned not to, and that would not be a score to the office of NSC. I think we should be reporting appropriately so that people will get the right information and the appropriate security could be provided.
Well, very much timely calls made by Dr. Aliyu. We have just about 9 minutes or 10 minutes to wrap up the conversation on the program this morning, but let's visit River State with the emergency ruling there, and it's many woes and troubles. We hear that about 11 People's Democratic Party governors have urged the Supreme Court to halt the Rivers emergency rule. They have decided to drag the federal government to court. We are once again back to the question of the legality of the emergency rule in River State.
You know, in democracy, we have to be careful because everything we do become a precedent. And creating a precedent, you should look at what happened after it. I don't know why we are so familiar with 6 months. I saw one comedy like that. Natasha, 6 months. 6 months. Fubara, 6 months. The other thing they said is 6 months.
And now it appears as if almost anything that happens in any state, the first thing that comes out of people's mouth is declare state of emergency.
And that's why in Bayelsa.
Yes.
I think that's why Bayelsa is so conscious. You know, there was a pro-Wike that want to do rally and what have you. Yes, he has to halt it because you know you are exposing them to some political turmoil, which is quite harmful. But let's go to that reverse. I think I want to appreciate what those governors are doing, but what affects one of them could also befall any of them. So I agree with them. But let's look at the place of Supreme Court in this case, because I recall in the 2 sort of emergency before, Ekiti and they played 2, Dariye, then I think court simply said it is illegal. And now we have declared another one for 6 months. So I want to see how it's going to play out in Supreme Court. I think that would have exposed us to what is actually happening in Nigeria, because I think a court of law, especially Supreme Court, should be a point of interpretation. And when you interpret, it should be a precedence for anything that happened. I think it's a court of another law, so to say, that once you say it is illegal, they will return it. But for me, I'm afraid that you may find it difficult to actually return, because I recall there was a meeting, was it in UK, where all the suspended lawmakers and the Godfather himself actually got to meet.
Well, we hear that they just merely went for a summit. They went for a conference.
That's how
and somehow they met with their political.
Every political meeting is also another meeting that form another solution.
You made mention of the fact that it's important to be careful about the actions taken in a democratic setting, because it sets the precedence for future occurrences, even if it stands in illegality. If you remember the recent attack in Boko's local government area of Plateau State, where about 52 people lost their lives.
Some said 60.
the comments that were flying all over the place was that the president should declare a state of emergency in Plateau State. This was even a comment made by the Arewa Consultative Forum. And then their counterparts in the southeast, the Ohanes and Bibo, warned the southeast governors to ensure that they curtail the issue of insecurity in the southeast, or they will call for state of emergency.
Right, I think that is becoming a word that it's used to threat, so to say, because
we will ask the president.
If you look at what is happening in southeast, truly, you know, I have people in Enugu and they don't work on Monday. That thing still continues.
It has been there for a very long time.
Right, so that means non-state actor is having a say in an organized democracy that have governors.
Yes.
So that's serious. And the issue of Bokos, it's so saddening. And you recall during the there was a state of emergency because of insecurity.
Yeah.
It's the same time, and the case has not actually reduced. Because if you look at the case of Plateau, is issue of land. We are the owner. We are the settler. It has been handed over to us, and government must look into that case continuously. Because governor is in Muftwang. Immediately he became governor, he started complaining, started lamenting about insecurity in that state. But how long do we do? Because if we continue to have pocket of insecurity at every place in Nigeria, Nigeria will become a place that is not ungovernable.
Dr. Aliyu, let's tilt it politically a little bit now. Right. Do you think that if Governor Caleb Muftwang had been a member of the All Progressives Congress, the issue of insecurity and this pockets of attacks here and there we're seeing in the state would have been taken more seriously by the federal government?
Well, I want to agree with that, because when you are in the ruling party, the accessibility to power become much more easier. You know, the way you communicate with the president directly become much more easier. The way you control the Nigerian police, you recall that's obey and is command and obey. Yeah. So there's a need for governors to actually ring Abuja permission before you can tell the commissioner of police in the state to actually talk. So the routes of discussion would have much more easier. I want to agree with that compared to if it's not the ruling party. It has benefit, and that's why most people, it's like a bait to even push you more to come and join the ruling party.
But do you think that the idea of dragging the federal government to court by the PDP governors might have any effect? If you recall, in Plateau State, you mentioned Governor Dari that was suspended and then reinstalled by means of Supreme Court ruling. Do you see the same thing happening in River State, considering the fact that Nigerians have accused the judiciary of being in the pockets of the executive?
If I tell you, my fear is that I don't see them reducing the 6 months. I actually see them extending. You know what? Because, you know, if you look at the trajectory of things, the last person who came out was the head of service, and it was trying to attest that the governor actually do this XYZ. Yes. Now that's an attempt to actually be showing the picture of the negativity of the governor. And if this trajectory continue, they may have to extend. You could see that the IBAS, the sole administrator, is also working on budget. I don't understand why.
He's asking for a fresh 2025
I don't understand why. And he's actually jumping the Rubicon, if you ask me, because he is supposed to refer back to the National Assembly. National Assembly has become the lawmaker now of River. But from look of things, he's having his budget. Budget for what? It's
the presidency might approve it.
You recall that immediately he became the sole administrator, they released all the local government fund to him.
Yes.
So this, and he has also appointed the local government administrators. So that simply means that he has all the, you know, the paraphernalia and opportunity
at
jurisdiction. And that's not a good one. So I want to see a situation whereby he cannot even survive 2 months as a sole administrator. But from the look of things, it's quite difficult.
Well, interesting take by Dr. Aliyu here with regards to the River State emergency ruling and the decision by 11 PDP governors to drag the federal government to court over what they term as an illegality and the truncation of democracy in River State. We're just about 3 minutes to wrap up the conversation. Right. I would want you to react very quickly on APC governors. We are done with PDP governors. Now to APC governors, they are begging former President Muhammadu Buhari to halt the mass defections from APC to the SDP. Something that they are saying he has refused to intervene on. What are your takes on it?
I think it's a good one that we have such challenge. I'm very happy that SDP is coming on board, and they're actually scared of it. You know, it's all that's beauty of democracy, freedom of association, and in this case, freedom of belonging to another political party. I was telling people that you are undermining the power of El-Rufai. I want to believe that if he cannot actually affect national politics, he can affect state politics. He can have more people in the state assembly. He can also have more people also in as a governor. In fact, the states might have issues. So for them to have actually gone, in fact, it's quite expository that that's part of their secret. Because I was thinking it's a statesman visit to former president, but they are looking at that happening. So imagine if the SDP have his way and governor of Kano decides that no, I'm now sitting towards the SDP. Do you see how it could be? And anything that happened in Kano can snowball to Jigawa and other states around. So I think it's a good one. So President Muhammadu Buhari has also always claimed that he's a neutral person. And for nobody, there's a way he quote it.
I'm for everybody and for nobody.
I'm for everybody and for nobody. Let him do that in this case and make sure that stay and watch it happening.
Well, it's a fine place to leave the conversation, Dr. Aliyu, but we must thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Talking about Nigeria's numerous issues.
Right.